Hello, YouTube. I'm here to free you of karma. It sounds like a big statement, but I'm here to do it for you. I free you of all karma. There, now, stop worrying about it. Karma is a lie, it is very misunderstood. So, we're going to talk about what karma is and why you'd never have to worry about it ever again. So, as you know, I'm working hard on my channel, wanting my channel to really take off, and so I'm doing research about different things, looking at things in my channel and on YouTube that are most popular. Karma is always a popular one. And so, as I'm researching stuff, up pops on YouTube, because YouTube is good about doing this. They're monitoring everything that you do, and they're trying to figure out what you're going to want to look for next, and they throw it at you. So, a very popular spiritual teacher who I can't really find anything wrong with, although just his overall vibe kind of bugs me, but I can't really find anything wrong with the guy. He's there and he's having he's talking with all of his millions of followers somewhere outside or somewhere, in some kind of gathering. And somebody asks the question, Guru, how can we not create karma? Or how can we go throughout our day and create the least amount of karma possible? Now, right off the bat, I hate that question, and I'll tell you why later, but I'm just like, oh my God, what a horrible question. It's an honest one, don't get me wrong. I understand the thought process, but I'm waiting to hear what this guy says, because sometimes this guy has really great responses, and I appreciate his wit and his seeming practical spiritual understanding, and so I'm waiting for him to say what is so obvious to me. And I'm hoping that he sees that as well. But instead, he doesn't do that. He talks around it for a long time. I guess I do that too in my own way. But talks around it in a long time in very pleasing tones, and everybody thinks he's saying something, and he's not. And then he finally gets around to it, and he says, the thing to do is to not create any fresh karma. That basically to do his meditation technique, and while you're doing the meditation technique, you won't be creating any karma. Bear in mind, I'm hearing this, and the whole thing of creating karma and being without karma is that whole understanding is completely false. This guy is an enlightened guru master, and he doesn't understand karma. And so he says the thing to do is to do the meditation, and then you will feel so light and clear, and then you won't create any fresh karma. To which I collapse in my hands and I say to myself, my God, even he doesn't get it. So let me explain to you, first off, I free you from ever worrying about karma ever again. Because once you understand what karma is, and once you understand who you are and what you're supposed to do, you never have to worry about it. Now, the assumption is that the word karma means negative karma. So even this guy who should know better, he's talking about karma. I mean, he knows what the definition of the word means. He even knows what the word means. The word karma does not mean punishment. It doesn't mean mistake. It doesn't mean being reborn because you were a bad person. Karma literally means the work of your arms. It means to create, to make. And the law of karma, good and bad karma, just simply is the law of action versus reaction. If you do something, there will be a reaction. There will be something that will result as the result of the actions that you are taking, which means that in every single moment you are taking an action, even if that is a choice to believe something. The choice not to do something is also a choice. So you're constantly creating karma. Now, as I've said before, but let me remind you, 99.9999% of all your karma is positive. Number one, you wouldn't be human if you didn't have more positive than negative karma, because being human is not a punishment. It is a reward. Being human is an opportunity to be able to master time and space and reality, and to have everything you could possibly imagine. Being human is an opportunity to have the most fun you can possibly imagine. Okay, you're born in some crappy circumstances. I get it. So was I. It's hard to move past that. So you work through that challenge. You get through over yourself. You get past your ego and your narcissism and your fear, and then life becomes this really fun video game. All right. You create positive karma when you overcome your challenges. What bothers me is that, the word karma is, comes from the Sanskrit word, which is, the people who spoke that language were, the ancient East Indians. And Indians have the least understanding of karma of anybody. You'll hear lots of times people, Indians, I'm not saying this, these are Indian teachers, will say things like, oh, the Indian people, we understand about reincarnation and we understand about karma, and they live in very difficult, and there's so much poverty here, but we Indians, we understand, we have to accept our karma, and oh my God, why? You don't have to accept your negative karma. You don't. In fact, your job is to overcome it, not to accept it and endure it like a punishment. Life is not a punishment. How that happened, I don't know. We may not know it here in the West, but India, for I think thousands of years, was like the most prosperous empire in the world. In fact, much of our science comes from that. In fact, the word zero, like math, if it weren't for the East Indian mathematicians, we wouldn't even know the concept of zero. We got zero from the Arabs, who got it from the East Indians. They understood what zero was. So, how they went from that to where they are now, I don't know. It's part of their karma. I don't know. It's not my problem. But karma is not a punishment. So I haven't got to it yet. How to not create karma? Very simple. Forget that whole idea. Imagine that life. Your life is you're not creating karma. Oh, I gotta be careful. Don't step there. Don't step there. I mean, the way that the question was phrased. How do we go through our life creating the least amount of karma possible? Again, the assumption is that karma is bad. And the assumption is that you're going to go through life creating all of this garbage that you're going to have to deal with. And, how can you ever get out from underneath that? If every single life that you have and every breath that you take and everything you do is creating this negative karma that you're going to have to be punished for in the next lifetime, I mean, how can you get anything done? Because there is such a thing as positive karma. So instead of trying to avoid creating negative karma, create positive karma. How do you do that? I teach you how to do that. I talked about it all day today in the reading of my book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. If you want to learn how to not create karma, read that book. The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Read that. It's real cheap. Master it. You don't have to worry about screwing up. You don't have to worry about doing the wrong thing. You don't ever have to worry about that. The only thing that you should be thinking about is, what does my soul want to experience? Your soul is an immaterial, non-physical, conscious entity that has chosen to take a long vacation inside of your body. And it wants to touch and feel and experience three-dimensional reality. Now, that may mean becoming a yogi and sitting in lotus for, 70 or 80 years, but it's because your soul wants to experience what that's like inside of a limited human body. how fun that is. You want to be a big wave surfer. You want to be a ballerina. You want to be a football star. You want to be president of the United States. Whatever it is that your soul wants to experience, it's here to experience something. And the more that you focus on what you want, the more positive karma you create. The more that you focus on what other people want you to do, like wanting to be a good person and not creating negative karma, just by asking that question, you've already created some negative karma. Because you're not asking the right question. The question is, how do I find joy? How do I do the thing that my soul wants to experience? How do I make my soul happy? That should be the only question you have. You do that, you never have to worry about it. You want to know what a truly enlightened person is? If there is such a thing as a perfect enlightened person, I don't think there is such a thing. I don't think there ever was or ever will be. If there was a person who was perfectly, completely, totally enlightened, is somebody who was constantly doing only what they wanted to do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 60 seconds a minute. The problem is that we also have this ego. We have false humility. We also have false spirituality. That question, how do I go through the day without causing, by not creating karma, causing the least amount of karma? Oh, it sounds very spiritual, but there's nothing spiritual about that question. It comes purely from fear. It comes purely from, on one of these or a combination of these, either that person is so afraid of the universe and of God and of being bad and is so full of shame that they can't tolerate the thought of being a bad person, which means they're trying to please God, which is what? The unconscious symbol of trying to please mommy and daddy. That God that can never be satisfied. How do I avoid not sinning? Because that's really what that is. That question is, how do I keep from sinning? How can I sin the least? In other words, that person's assumption is they go through their whole life sinning and doing bad things and creating all this punishment for themselves. It's a complete lie. That is not at all who you are, why you're here, or how things work. If you want to talk about what a sin is living for other people. Oh, I'm a very spiritual person. I give my life to others. I live for others. I never do anything just for myself. Like these are the same people who want to give me a hard time because they think that there's something wrong because I promote my business. That's wrong of me. I shouldn't do that. If I were a spiritual teacher, I should never do anything for money. I should never promote myself. Garbage. Complete garbage. So, let's just get rid of the whole word karma altogether. Let's just get rid of it. Because that's not what you're being judged by. If you want to look at judgment, if you want to look at why do I have to reincarnate, it's really simple. You lived a life and your soul... Here's something else. Let's pull it back even farther. Let's get rid of the idea that if you live this life perfectly, you won't have to be reincarnated. I mean, a bunch of things wrong with that. First is your soul wants to come here. You're the one that has a problem with it. And if you can understand that you've chosen these challenges so that you can learn and grow, if you can get over all of that maybe really difficult things you go through in life and understand your soul wants to experience that, let's just forget about that. Let's now forget about the idea that it's this one lifetime. Your soul is thinking in many lifetimes. It's thinking, in these next 3 lifetimes, I want to master this. I'm going to do 3 lifetimes this, and then I'm going to do a couple lifetimes as that, and then I'm going to do 5 lifetimes as this. Now, you're on this expedition, like when you go on a vacation. When you go on a vacation, you don't just get on a plane and fly all the way across the world, and then get out of the plane and go, okay, what are we going to do today? All right, we're going to go have some Chinese food, and then we're going to go to the Buddhist temple, and then we're going to walk in the woods, and then when is our flight back home? No, you get on a plane, you go all the way across. The first day you do that, the second day you rest, the third day you go to such and such, the fourth day you have this whole itinerary planned. Maybe you get to all the things, maybe you don't. Something interesting happens, you change your plans, but you're there for a while. You're not there just for one day to do one thing. Your soul wants to vacation here, and it wants to have fun doing it. And so there's going to be, like, you might have multiple things to do over multiple lifetimes. So what is it that makes your stay longer? What is it? Well, I had a layover, and I had to, stay at we had to lay over in Paris, but we couldn't leave because we were waiting for the next plane, and okay, we got there, and we get in the hotel. Well, that's a result in terms of your spirit having to get stuck in lives it doesn't want to get stuck in. That's a result of when you take actions based on pleasing other people, being a good person, being spiritual, living for your parents, for your society, for your church, for your spouse, for your friends, for what is everybody going to think of you. Doing that when it's in conflict with what your soul wants, that means you're going to be stuck in the airport for a while. You're not going to be able to get on the next plane. You missed your flight because you were screwing around trying to make somebody happy. Instead of saying, listen, I got a flight to catch. I got to go. So you can think of it next time. Next time somebody in your life tells you, I don't want you to move and become a ballerina. I don't want you to move and become an Olympic athlete. I want you to stay here and to do this. You go, hey, you know what? I'd love to stay here and talk to you, but I'm late for my flight. I got to go. It's the same idea. Don't let anybody get in the way. When you are done, when your soul has gone, yeah, I did that, 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 then it'll go, yeah, I think I've done everything I want to do. I can't think of anything else I want to do. Okay, what's next? And then you'll be enlightened. Then you will have achieved moksha. Then you will have achieved liberation. At no point are you going to show up and is there going to be a scale to see how much good karma versus bad karma? You have more bad karma than good. Guess what? You got to go back and be a human again. That never happens. Guaranteed, never, ever happens. It happens because there's something within you that you didn't get to fulfill for yourself. So just accept that. Be a warrior about it. Enjoy this life. And if you can't enjoy it, I understand. I've gone through my share of pain. I share about it all the time. But there's one thing that helped me, which was whenever things got really bad, I would stop and I would go, okay, I know I'm in a lot of pain right now. I know I'm not happy, but it's just a feeling. It doesn't have to determine my actions. I'm fully responsible for where I am. What can I do right now to make my life better? What can I do right now to give myself what I want? And just take it one step at a time. If you're really lucky, you'll be able to go, all right, what is it that I want to do with my life? Even if you're, let's say you're stuck like I was. I mean, I shared about it. The best example is the example that I shared. I was stuck in a dead-end marriage. I had no money. I had no career to speak of. And I wasn't doing anything that I wanted to do. And I had, by my own karma, by my own actions, I had gotten myself dependent upon this other person just to function and live. And I said to myself, what is it that I want to do? I want to surf. I want to get back in the gym. I want to hike and go backpacking. That's what I'm going to go do. And I did. And I ended up leaving the security, and leaving with no money, being sick, having no idea what I was going to do with my life. I went off and did it. I came back with what little money I had and whatever credit cards I had. I got back to Southern California, and being 49 years old, overweight and out of shape and racked with pain, bought a surfboard, bought a wetsuit, and I went out surfing in the middle of winter when the waves were enormous, and I hadn't surfed in 10 years, and I almost drowned. And it was so much fun. And then all of a sudden, my life started coming together because I did that one thing my soul wanted to do. I'm telling you, it's that simple. You do the one thing that your soul wants to do, and everything in the universe, every being, every entity just comes to your aid to give you what you need. Even the people that give you a hard time. You know, my now ex-wife, what pushed me over the edge was after I had spent 10 years living for her, sacrificing everything to give her and be whatever she wanted. She looked me in the face and said, I know you're not doing what you want to do, and I need you to start making more money because I don't want to feel guilty. So start making more money and do the things you want to do because I don't want to feel guilty anymore. And she got up and left. And I went, holy crap, what the hell am I doing here? And that was the universe. That was the universe saying, get the hell out. You're done. You paid off your debt. Now I had a debt. There must have been something that I've done in a previous life with that soul where I owed her something. So I had to pay that off. If you want to talk about debt, that's karma. You know, there's that kind of karma. But it's karma between you and another person, you and other people. I'm going to talk about this tonight because I'm going to upload a whole thing about healing. And I'm going to share with you, this is a previous video that I did, but in that video I talk about how people who have gifts of healing aren't necessarily spiritually evolved. It means that in past lives they harmed a lot of people. Perhaps they killed a lot of people. And in this life they have a gift of healing. And the universe is so kind, it doesn't shame you. Instead of saying you killed all those people, you have to balance out all that negative karma and that energy. Instead of that, it says, hey, you've got a healing gift. Everybody that comes to you, you have to heal them. And you do it and you feel good about yourself and everybody claps and says, what an amazing person you are. But in reality, you probably did some really screwed up things. That's the universe you live in. It doesn't punish you. It doesn't make you feel bad. It makes you feel good about all the things you're supposed to do. If you're doing stuff and you don't feel good about it, you're not supposed to do it. I don't care if you're sacrificing your life for your kids or your family or your parents or your God or your country. If you feel crappy inside, like you're throwing your life away, you're not supposed to be doing it. If you got involved like I did, maybe you got involved and you had kids and now you're stuck, well, that's too bad. You got to fulfill that stuff. There are some responsibilities you got to live through, but that was your doing. You did it to yourself. Nobody's doing it to you. All right? So, bottom line is, forget about karma. It doesn't exist. There is no such thing as bad karma. There's only bad decisions, and bad decisions are decisions that you make that go against what makes you happy. When you go against what makes you happy, you have bad experiences. If you focus on what makes you happy and what makes your soul happy, deliriously happy, when you're willing to take whatever risk, if you're willing to sacrifice whatever you need to sacrifice, including your life, to give your soul its greatest joy, you never have to worry about negative karma ever again. All right? So there you go. All right. See you around.